The tragic case of Logan Gimbel, a security guard's fatal encounter. Welcome to Truth Crime Podcast, where we explore the chilling realities of true crime cases that have left lasting impacts on communities. I'm your host, Samuel, and today we delve into a harrowing incident that unfolded in a North Portland parking lot. This is the story of Logan Gimbel, a private security guard whose actions during a seemingly routine encounter escalated into a tragic homicide, forever altering the lives of those involved. On May 29, 2021, what began as a confrontation in the parking lot of a Lowe's store would end with the death of Freddy Nelson, a 49-year-old man, and the eventual conviction of Gimbel for second-degree murder. Join me as we unravel the details surrounding this case, examining how a brief altercation spiraled into violence and the implications it has for private security practices. The incident. The evening of May 29th started like any other at the Delta Park Center shopping plaza in North Portland. Logan Gimbel, then 30 years old and working as an armed security guard for Cornerstone Security Group, was on duty patrolling the area. His role was to ensure safety and order in a location that had seen an uptick in crime and disturbances. The plaza included various businesses, including a Lowe's store and a bottle drop facility known for drawing large crowds. On that fateful night, Freddy Nelson was parked in his pickup truck outside Lowe's. He was organizing pallets he had arranged to pick up with permission from an employee inside the store. His wife, Carrie Nelson, was inside shopping at the time. As Freddy sat in his vehicle, Gimbel approached him with authority. Witnesses later recounted how Gimbel ordered Nelson to leave the premises without any clear justification. Tensions quickly escalated when Gimbel parked his security vehicle behind Nelson's truck, effectively trapping him in place. Eyewitnesses described the scene as increasingly hostile. Gimbel appeared agitated and confrontational. According to reports from the scene, Gimbel claimed he felt threatened and believed Nelson intended to run him over with his vehicle. However, witnesses disputed this claim, stating that Nelson's truck did not move out of its parking space during the confrontation. Instead of attempting to de-escalate the situation or call for backup, Gimbel allegedly pepper-sprayed Nelson through the window of his truck before firing 4 shots through the windshield. The chaos unfolded in mere seconds. A confrontation that began with words devolved into violence almost instantaneously. Freddy Nelson was struck by gunfire and succumbed to his injuries shortly thereafter. His wife returned from shopping only to find her husband critically wounded in their vehicle, a horrifying scene that would haunt her for life. The aftermath. The immediate aftermath of the shooting left many questions unanswered and sparked outrage within the community. How could a routine encounter between a security guard and a civilian escalate so quickly into fatal violence? Logan Gimbel was arrested at the scene and charged with second-degree murder, along with several other counts related to his use of force during the incident. Initially claiming self-defense, Gimbel's narrative began to unravel as investigators examined evidence from body cameras and witness testimonies. Eyewitness accounts painted a different picture than what Gimbel had described. They indicated that he had unnecessarily escalated what could have been a minor dispute into a deadly encounter. As public interest in the case grew, it highlighted broader concerns about private security practices, particularly regarding armed guards who may lack proper training or oversight. Investigations revealed that Gimbel was one of 3 guards from Cornerstone Security who did not possess a license to carry a firearm at the time of the shooting. This raised serious questions about how such individuals were entrusted with significant authority over public safety. The investigation. In the days following the tragic shooting of Freddy Nelson, law enforcement launched a comprehensive investigation to uncover the circumstances surrounding the incident. The initial response from police was swift, as they arrived at the scene shortly after the shooting was reported. Officers secured the area and began gathering evidence, including witness statements and any available video footage. Gathering evidence. One of the most critical pieces of evidence in this case was the body camera footage from Logan Gimbel's patrol vehicle. This footage provided a first-hand account of the encounter between Gimbel and Nelson, capturing the moments leading up to the shooting. Investigators meticulously analyzed this video, looking for clues that could clarify what transpired during those tense seconds. Witnesses who were present at the scene were interviewed extensively. Many described seeing Gimbel approach Nelson's truck aggressively, ordering him to leave without any clear justification. Eyewitness accounts varied, but several individuals expressed disbelief that Nelson posed any real threat at all. They noted that his truck remained stationary throughout the confrontation, contradicting Gimbel's claims of feeling endangered. Forensic analysis. Forensic experts were called in to examine the scene thoroughly. They collected physical evidence, including shell casings from the bullets fired by Gimbel and any remnants from the pepper spray used during the confrontation. Ballistics analysis would later reveal critical details about how many shots were fired and where they struck Nelson's vehicle. Investigators also sought to reconstruct the scene to understand better how events unfolded. They mapped out the positions of both vehicles, Gimbel's security car and Nelson's pickup truck, to ascertain whether Gimbel's actions were justified given his claims of self-defense. Background checks. As part of their investigation, law enforcement conducted background checks on both Logan Gimbel and Freddy Nelson. They uncovered that Gimbel had a history of aggressive behavior while working as a security guard, which raised concerns about his suitability for such a role, especially one that involved carrying a firearm. Further digging into Gimbel's employment history revealed that he was one of 3 guards from Cornerstone Security Group who did not possess a license to carry a firearm at the time of the shooting. This lack of proper certification raised serious questions about how Cornerstone Security was managing its personnel and whether adequate training protocols were in place for armed guards. Community impact. As news of the shooting spread through North Portland, community members began to voice their concerns about safety and accountability regarding private security forces in their neighborhoods. Local activists organized meetings to discuss issues related to armed security personnel and their interactions with civilians. They called for greater oversight and regulation within the industry, emphasizing that incidents like this one should never happen again. Freddy Nelson's family also took an active role in seeking justice for their loved one. They began their own investigation into both Gimbel's actions and Cornerstone Security Group's practices regarding hiring and training armed guards. Their quest for answers led them to uncover disturbing trends regarding how private security personnel were managed within their community. Legal proceedings. As investigators compiled evidence against Logan Gimbel, they worked closely with prosecutors to build a case that would hold him accountable for his actions. The evidence gathered, ranging from eyewitness accounts to forensic analysis, painted a troubling picture of an untrained guard who had acted recklessly rather than responsibly when faced with what should have been an easily manageable situation. The culmination of these investigative efforts led to Gimbel's arrest and subsequent charges of second-degree murder, along with several counts related to his use of force during the incident. The case would soon transition from investigation to trial, where all these findings would be presented before a jury seeking justice for Freddy Nelson. The trial. The trial commenced in early 2023. Attracting significant media attention as jurors heard testimonies from witnesses who were present during the altercation. The prosecution argued that Gimbel had unnecessarily escalated a minor dispute into a fatal encounter due to his lack of training in conflict resolution and de-escalation tactics. During court proceedings, it was revealed that Gimbel had prior issues with Freddy Nelson. He had attempted to ban him from the property without justification on previous occasions due to misunderstandings about Nelson's activities at Bottle Drop. This history contributed to Gimbel's aggressive behavior on that night. Witnesses testified about their observations during the confrontation, many stating they saw no threat posed by Nelson at any point leading up to the shooting. The prosecution painted a picture of an untrained guard who acted recklessly rather than responsibly when faced with what should have been an easily manageable situation. In contrast, Gimbel's defense team argued that he acted out of fear for his safety and believed he had no choice but to use deadly force when confronted by an allegedly aggressive individual. They attempted to portray him as someone who was simply trying to do his job under difficult circumstances. However, jurors ultimately found him guilty on multiple charges, including second-degree murder and unlawful use of a firearm after deliberating for several days. The verdict sent shockwaves through both families involved. The Nelsons grieving for their lost loved one while grappling with feelings of anger towards someone who had taken so much from them. Sentencing and civil consequences. On May 23, 2023, Logan Gimbel was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years, a decision met with mixed emotions by those present in court. The judge emphasized not only accountability for violent actions, but also highlighted systemic issues surrounding private security practices that allowed untrained individuals access to firearms without adequate oversight or regulation. In addition to criminal proceedings against him personally, Freddy Nelson's family pursued civil action against both Cornerstone Security Group and TMT Development Corp., which had contracted them for security services at Delta Park Center. In September 2024, after extensive litigation that exposed numerous failures within Cornerstone's training protocols, an Oregon jury awarded over $21 million to Nelson's family in damages after finding both companies liable for creating an environment contributing directly toward Freddy's death through inadequate training and supervision of their guards. Conclusion. The tragic case of Logan Gimbel serves as a stark reminder of how quickly situations can escalate into violence and highlights critical issues surrounding private security practices in our communities. It raises essential questions about accountability and oversight within an industry tasked with protecting public safety. As we reflect on this heartbreaking story today, it is crucial to advocate for stronger regulations governing private security personnel, ensuring they receive adequate training in de-escalation techniques while understanding their responsibilities toward those they are sworn to protect. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Truth Crime E podcast, as we explored this tragic case that underscores both personal loss and systemic failures within our society. If you found this episode impactful or thought-provoking, please subscribe so you can continue exploring these important issues with us in future episodes.